Meeting recording has started.
Hi, I want to show you the fundamentals of using Avaya's Virtual Agent Studio. So Virtual Agent Studio is a web-based interface that allows you to create AI-infused workflows. You can use these workflows for web chat bots, for voice bots, for text bots, for any number of different things. I'm going to show you though one that I've created, which mimics a guitar shop. So I have several agents here, but I'm going to look at the guitar shop agent and walk you through the steps that I used to build this agent. So it comes in here and I have my dashboard. If I go over to build, I'll see there are a number of things that I can do. I'm going to start with lexicons. So lexicons is almost sort of the vocabulary of this bot, some of the things that I'm going to be looking for. So if I want to buy a guitar or I want to sell a guitar, I'm going to want to know a few things. And this is a very simplified approach, but you'll see how you can extend this into something much larger. So at this point, I'm concerned with brands and styles. So if I open up brands, my guitar shop specializes in Epiphones, Fender, Gibson, and Taylor guitars. So I have put the key phrases for all these guitar brands. And notice how I've named them with a particular slot. So this is guitar underscore brand, and you'll see how that's used later. So anytime I see Epiphone, Fender, Gibson, or Taylor, I'm going to put that into the guitar brand slot. If I go back here, I have another lexicon, which I've called styles. And it's very simple. Again, I have three styles: acoustic, bass, and electric. And I put those into the slot guitar underscore style. I could have made one lexicon, but I think it makes more sense to break them off into different kinds of functionality. So I have brands and styles. So once I have my lexicon built, then I'm going to want to build a flow. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to flows. And I've already built this particular flow out, which is the main flow. Before I go into the flow, though, I want to talk about what I really want to do is I want to ask the bot questions, or I want to give it statements about buying a guitar, selling a guitar, and I want it to then guide me through that process. In order to do that, I want to use um, artificial intelligence and natural language understanding. So if I were to create a new flow, I'd get a blank flow. Let's go back here and do this. Let's go back over here to flows, and I will create a new flow, and I'll just call it XXX. I'm going to get rid of this thing. And a flow would start with a start and end. Not really interested in this flow, so let's go back over here to my flows again, and I'll go to my main flow. So I want to build some sort of artificial intelligence into this bot. And you can see I filled out all that step between start and end, and I'll explain that in a minute. So what I want to do is I want to go to the NLU tab. This is the Natural Language Understanding tab. And this is where I build my NLP. This is where I build my intents. The intent is when somebody has an utterance, some spoken or typed speech, how do I distill that into an action? Well, in my guitar shop, I have two actions. One is buy guitar and one is sell guitar. If I click into buy guitar, which is an intent, so there's the intent name is buy guitar. I give it some training phases, phrases. I want to buy a guitar. Then I go a little more specific. I want to buy a Gibson guitar. I want to buy a Fender guitar. I want to buy an electric guitar. I'm looking for a guitar. Do you sell guitars? I want to buy or just buy. So these things, when the bot or the agent encounters these phrases, it will say, oh, this is the buy guitar intent. Now I can make this a little more sophisticated, but I want to buy a Gibson guitar. And remember in my lexicon, Gibson was one of the choices. So I can actually highlight that. And then I would have come over here and then told it that I want it to be a lexicon slot and the actual slot name is guitar brand. I did the same thing for Fender guitar. And now here's electric guitar. Well, electric guitar is yet another lexicon slot, but this time it's guitar style. And here's one where I actually have them both in there. I have both the guitar brand and the guitar style. And I'll show you how this becomes very useful once I get into the flow. And then here's one that just has the guitar style. And once I give the bot enough training phrases, then it's ready to go. Let's go back again. Let's go back to this time sell guitar. And I have very similar things. So the intent name is sell guitar. Um, and I actually typed over that. So I want to sell a guitar. I want to sell an electric guitar. And there again is that lexicon slot, and it's a guitar style from the lexicon. And then I want to sell a Gibson guitar, lexicon slot again. This time it's a brand. I'm helping the bot understand things better by giving it a few hints along the way when I build out my intents. And here is, can I sell a Fender electric guitar? And so again, various options of how I would want to train my bot to understand sell. So once I have that, I can do one more thing. Let's go over here to slot fillers. Oops. And yes, I want to continue without saving. Actually, I did want to save there, but that's okay. Um, so let's go, and I created two slot fillers. If I open up styles and brands, what this allows me to do is to say, when I hear one of these things like guitar style, when I hear that in one of my phrases, I actually want to put that into the context for the bot. So as the bot moves along, I know what was said. So I can say it in one place and then pull it out of another place. So it's a way to gather information and not forget about it. So I have two slots, and one of them is to gather the styles, and then another is to gather the brands. So let's go back to the flow itself then. So if we come back over here, and we go to our flows, and then let's go to the main flow. And the main flow begins with a start. Everything begins with a start. And the first thing I want to do is I want to look up the intent. So what did I just hear? So when somebody says a phrase, let's do parsing of this, and then let's decide, is this a buy guitar intent, a sell guitar intent, or the default is it's nothing at all. I don't recognize this, and I can say, please tell me if you want to buy or sell a guitar. So if I go into the buy guitar, so if I recognize it's a buy guitar, to simplify this workflow and to make it look easier on the page, I send it to a new flow, and this is the buy guitar flow. And the same thing, if I detect that somebody wants a sell guitar, I go click them over to the sell guitar flow, send them over to the sell guitar flow. So let's go actually to the buy guitar flow, and we'll see what happens here. It also begins with a start. And then I ask it, what brand of guitar are you looking to buy? So I want to know, is this a Fender, Gibson, blah, blah, blah. But I have some interesting things going on right here. Is if I come over here and then I hear Gibson, Fender, whatever, then I will store that result in the context and I will put it into this key guitar brand. Remember my slot filler? I'm actually giving it a place that I can now fill this information into so that when I hear the brand, I can put it into the slot. But if I already know the brand coming in, I don't even want to ask them this question. So I'll skip if answer exists in context. And you think, well, how do you know it exists in context? Well, let's say that somebody comes and says, I want to buy a guitar. It's going to come into this node. It's going to say, do I have a brand? Is this guitar brand, has somebody filled it in? And the answer is no, they haven't said anything. So I'm going to ask them what brand of guitar do you want to buy? If somebody comes and says, I want to buy a Gibson guitar, well, I'm automatically going to fill in this slot. And then this check mark says, well, you already know what they're looking to buy in terms of the brand. Don't bother to ask them again. So same thing for style. I come in and I ask, are you looking to buy an electric guitar, acoustic guitar, or bass? And now I can actually go into the context and pull out the brand. If I've gotten this far, I have a brand. So my Taylor, Fender, Epiphone guitar. Same thing over here. If I come down here and I look at my storage, when I get the style, I'm going to put it into the context so that the rest of the flow has it. I'm going to skip if the answer exists. So if somebody comes in and says, I want to buy a Fender bass guitar, I'm going to go to this node. It's going to say, all right, I need a brand. Do I have a brand? Yes, I do. I have a Fender. What's the style? Well, it's a bass. So in this simple little bot, all I do now is I come down here and I just spit back out, I can help you buy, and I can pull from the context the brand and the style, like a Fender bass, a Gibson electric. And so I can do that for you automatically. So I can pull it out of the context and then do the say. I then reset the context because I'm going to go back and ask this question again. You'll see that. And I go back to the main. So let's go over here to sell guitar and you'll see something very similar. And you'll see it starts at the start. You have the same what brand of guitar, what style. And as before, I'm going to gather the brand and gather the style, but it's all if it's already been said, I'm not going to ask them because I'm going to be looking at these slots that have been filled. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll say, I can help you sell your, and again, the brand and the style, which I'm pulling out of the context, which was put into the context earlier. And then I'll reset because I'm going back to the main again. If I go back to the main, and what you'll see is once I've done that, then I just end. Um, and then we'll go back to the top again and wait for the next message. If somebody again does not give me something that I understand, then I'm going to go and say, please tell me what you want, blah, blah, blah. So let's test this thing. Okay? So I can come in here and I'll just say very simply, I want to buy. Now I have expert mode turned on, so it's going to tell me a lot of different things. It's going to say, oh, the intent is buy guitar. I don't know anything else besides this, so it's going to say, what brand of guitar do you want to buy? I want to say I want a Gibson. And now it knows that I've filled the slot of Gibson, the guitar brand slot with Gibson. And do I want a bass, electric, whatever? And I'll say I want a bass. And then it's going to come back here and it says, okay, now I've just filled the style slot and I can help you buy a Gibson bass. Now what's happening is we reset the context, we've gone back to the beginning. So now I can say something like, I want to sell. Now let's be a little more specific here. A Fender. And it's going to say, okay, I know that this is the sell guitar intent. I already know what the brand is, but I don't know the style. So I'm going to say electric, electric, and then it's going to say, I can help you sell your Fender electric. If I come in here and say, I want to buy an Epiphone acoustic, and it knows buy guitar, it's an Epiphone brand, it's an acoustic style. It's not going to ask me any more questions. I can help you buy an Epiphone acoustic. So at this point, I can go and I can attach this bot to any number of things. I can go over to deploy and I can choose an endpoint and I can go and I can now attach this bot to a web chat endpoint, to WhatsApp, via CPaaS, any number of different endpoints. These are sort of the insies and the outsies, the ingress and the egress. So if I attach it to a web chat, then this will show up in my, I can get the HTML to put this on a web page and then manage this bot. Now this is a very, very simple bot. If I go back over here to flows, I don't really do much of anything here. I do the, kind of walk you through, the fact that you want to buy or sell. And then I say, yes, I can help you. At some point, if I were to go into buy guitar, now this is where I'd want to go in a little bit deeper. And I wouldn't want to just reset the context and all that. Now I'd really want to help you buy the guitar. And this could be a lot of other different flows. I can start to show you different what's in stock, different model numbers. You can say, okay, I want to buy a Gibson electric. Well, I want to buy a Gibson electric, Les Paul Studio Light. And I can start to dig in things like that. And at some point, then actually, help you buy the guitar, go into some sort of fulfillment engine to actually get your credit card and all that sort of stuff. So this is a real simple introduction to Virtual Agent Studio and using the tool to build bots. And I can go on and on and on. There's so much more that I have not talked about, but this should give you a basic feel for what it's all about and really how easy it is. So just remember you have flows, we have lexicons, we have natural language, which includes intents. I'm actually, and then attaching my lexicons to these intents. I have slot fillers so that when I get things about, and I won't have a slot filler for this one, I'll have a slot filler for the main, so that when I get different things that get filled, I just stick them, different values, I stick them to these slots. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you got something out of it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.